Listen to this episode if you are wondering the wrong places that business owners often look for information and insight inside of their business. I have the luxury of being asked business questions all day, every day in the business that I have, whether it be for my coaching session episodes on Friday or within actual coaching sessions with my clients or in my DMs or just business conversations with people in general. And today's episode is going to be a different kind of fun one. I am basically going to reframe the questions that you ask into the questions that you actually should be asking. After getting submitted questions all of the time, getting asked questions, a lot of them I end up actually completely reframing your perspective and end up telling you you are actually asking the wrong question here. And that is the perspective change that we are going to make today. We are diving into the wrong questions people ask and where you should actually be looking and what questions you actually should be asking in order to grow your business and go from there. There is no shame in these questions. If you have asked me these questions, this is a loving environment, a judgment-free environment. I am not here to shame you. I am not here to tell you that your questions are stupid. I am here to provide insight and change your perspective, because business growth is all about changing your perspective into becoming that next level business owner that you are. The reason you're asking the questions that you're asking is because you see it at face value instead of looking at the root cause. So today, what we're talking about is how can we identify the root cause and make sure that we can kind of step up into thinking like that next level business owner self that you are. I talk to people that have pre-revenue businesses all the way up to $5-10 million businesses all of the time. And I want to change your perspective so you can consistently be leveling up to get closer to becoming that person. Because as a business owner, it is your role to really level yourself up in order to level your business up. You can often be the lid of your business, which will then make it where you can no longer grow because your perspective is stuck where it's at. Today, we're going to be changing that perspective and really diving into some quick fire perspective changes and ideas and concepts that I really want you to rewire and reframe how you think about them. Before we do that, I just want to take 10 quick seconds to say hello. My name is Madison Page. I'm the host of the Small Business Growth Podcast, and I am a business growth specialist. I help turn consumer brands into new household names and really help you turn that small business into the solid brand that reaches the potential of what you're really looking for. If you are looking to grow a consumer brand, welcome. Make sure that you subscribe. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. I would love for you to subscribe and to have you inside of this community. So without further ado, let's change some of your perspectives. Again, there is no shame around any of these. If you've ever asked me these questions or submitted these questions, this is a judgment-free zone. I have heard it all. And what we are talking about here today is really going to shift that perspective into getting you to think of the way that you really need to think. First question, what platform should I be on? Do I need to be on them all? That is the question that a lot of people ask me. The question that I want to reframe this to is, where is your ideal customer already engaging, already consuming, and already buying from brands? Which brands or which platform has the best ROI for me right now? And do I feel like it's worth it on all of these areas? I have a lot of people trying to do a bunch of platforms half-assed. I also have a lot of people that refuse to expand their platforms because they hate TikTok or they hate this or they hate that. It's not something that they really want to do. Now, there's always going to be a shiny new platform somewhere. We got TikTok, we have Instagram, we have, this looming M2, which is the new TikTok coming to the US in September. We have Threads, we have X, we have LinkedIn. There are so many different platforms that we can be on, but where should we be on is often the question. We have to really look at, where is your ideal customer? Where are they consuming content? Where are they engaging with brands? And how can we be there? Why does it make the most sense for you to be there? And which platforms has the best ROI for me right now? I do tell clients, it's not worth it for you to be on Pinterest right now. That's just not somewhere within the scope of your brand and the amount of time that you have in a week that we can really be on. It's not to say that you have to be everywhere your people are. We have to know what has the highest ROI, and that is really what we're looking at here. It's not like as willy-nilly as, should I join Pinterest? It's, do I have somebody to consistently execute Pinterest, to need to post every day? Do I have a search engine optimized website? Can I convert cold leads? All sorts of other questions that kind of go underneath that. Next question, should I launch this product? Should I launch this product is a tough one, because yes, there are some brands out there that have like a collection focused business model. That's not who I'm talking to here. I am talking to somebody that has kind of like, they have their products, they have their signature products, and they just keep launching new products because they're hoping that this next product is what kind of kickstarts their business growth. Hey, should I launch this new product? My question for you instead is there a need for this product in the marketplace? Or is there a need for this product inside of my customer journey or my customer experience? So is this product going to compete with your other products? Is it different? Is it different enough that it's not just going to actually add confusion to your overall customers? Launching a new product in and of itself is not nearly ever going to be the catalyst that actually grows your business. What's growing your business is changing your marketing. This might actually help you get like a quick cash influx, but that doesn't mean that it's going to grow your business. You could have a viral product or something like that. That might be the case, but that usually for 99% of businesses is not how it works. So I want you to ask, before you launch a product, what is your purpose behind launching this product? Are you launching it just for a quick cash influx? For some of you, that's okay. But I also want to look at within the marketplace, is this needed? Are you trying to fill a white space, or are you just, muddying the waters and trying to become a different brand? Next one is this within your customer journey? So like, is this going to compete with other products? Is it just going to add more confusion? Because if you confuse your customers, you will lose them. If you provide the decision fatigue in the buying process is actually really, really strong. So we're trying to actually eliminate options a lot of times. So is there a clear differentiator within your marketplace? And is there a clear differentiator within your customer journey of this new product that you are trying to launch? If yes, we can look at it. If not, again, it's not going to be the catalyst most of the time that actually grows your business. You might be able to better service your customers, which can be a positive, but we're not just asking, it's not as simple as, should I just launch this new product? Next one, what podcast should I listen to? This is a fun one coming from somebody that has a podcast to somebody that is listening to a podcast right now. This is a hot topic, all right? I do not like this question because I get a lot of people to ask. I will say, hey, when they ask me to audit their profile, I'll say, what you need to do is you need to work on your branding. You need to actually create a brand around your product. Right now, you're pushing your product too much. You then need to add some variety into your marketing. You don't really have too much of a marketing strategy here, as well as we need to streamline your sales. And they say, what podcast episodes do you have out there on those pieces? Thinking that the podcast episode is actually going to be the catalyst, again, that is going to have them implementing this. I also have people that tell me they have notebooks and notebooks full of notes on my podcast episode. I also am somebody that does provide information-based podcasts. However, as somebody that does that and also teaches people, my podcast truly is only 5% of what I teach elsewhere. Through the walls of a podcast, I can only teach you so much. I cannot teach you full strategies because strategies are nuanced. I cannot teach you full frameworks because frameworks are nuanced. Because I need to know, just like I just said with that launch question, I need to know your business model. I need to know your vision. I need to know your goals. Some of these questions might not even be good advice for you. And so I don't listen to podcasts to actually learn the information that I am trying to learn in order to grow. I listen to podcasts to change my perspective, to be involved in higher level conversations, and to be in like a virtual room with people that have achieved what I'm trying to achieve, or, have some level of authority or status that I am trying to basically soak up from them. I am more interested in their morning routines and their evening routines, how they balance their time and all of that. I don't really care about their strategies. Sure, if they're going to tell me strategies, go ahead. But frankly, I'm sure there's no strategy that I haven't really heard of at that point. And honestly, I know so many of you have listened to 400 episodes, 400 hours of me speaking on my podcast. There's a lot of information out there that we have not yet implemented. So instead of asking the question, what podcast should I listen to on this topic, or what podcasts do I listen to, is a question that I get asked a lot. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to probably 3 to 4 podcasts a day when I wake up in the morning, when I'm getting ready, when I go on my walk in the evening, all of those different pieces. I would rather you ask, how can I implement information from the last 3 podcast episodes that I listened to? Because if you are listening to a podcast that is supposed to be changing your perspective or, even just providing you some information, even this episode, how are you going to implement what I'm teaching you from in today's episode? Most business information, 99% of information consumed on podcasts, in books, even in courses, is never actually implemented. What that means is that you are out here trying to consume information. The consumption is great, and I'm glad that I can provide some information for you, but what really matters is the implementation, the fine-tuning, and the feedback behind all of it. And so instead of asking what podcast episode should I listen to, it's how can I actually implement information that I've learned, or where can I actually get customized business support that is going to fill my exact gaps? Because the majority of general business knowledge in courses and all of that, it is so much easier to actually look directly at the source. How can I actually improve based on the business information that I have? So yes, I want you to look at how you can implement this information, because again, my podcast is truly only 5%. The reason I talk a lot about mindset, a lot about habits, a lot about mistakes, a lot about that, because I'm trying to change your perspective of how you think about business on my podcast. I'm not really trying to give you full strategies or frameworks or action plans, because frankly, I can't. Business growth and strategy and all of that is very nuanced, which is why, I don't give blanket business support. I'm trying to change your perspective, to level you up, and to get you to think as a different business owner. So for all of you out there that have a notebook full of information from my podcast, I love you. I love that for you. I'm so happy to have you here. I want to ask you, when was the last time you implemented it? Do you feel like you've implemented it correctly? And are you actually seeing the results to the greatest extent? If the answer to that is no, we probably have to go back to something other than a podcast, because again, your podcasts are not here to replace like coaching or feedback or consulting or like things like that. Podcasts are here to change your perspective and to get you into the conversations of these people. Again, we are who we surround ourselves by. So if you don't have a network full of people that are millionaires, then you have to try to be in podcast rooms or conversations just to normalize that level of success. That's what a podcast is for. It's for perspective, it's for normalizing, it's for conversation, but you have to implement the information. Hey, I'm jumping in here for 30 quick seconds for those of you who are loving the podcast but wish we could dive deeper into every episode topic together. I have actually started a completely free podcast community called the Small Business Cafe for exactly this purpose. Inside this community, we dive deeper into every podcast episode, provide bonus resources, and actually host completely free monthly coaching calls with me, so you can get your questions answered. Plus, you get to submit your questions for our Friday coaching session episodes and connect with other founders too. If you have been loving being a part of this podcast and want to connect with other brand founders, plus get extra support from me, click the link in the show notes below to join. Next, how do I scale my sales? Yes, great question. I absolutely can scale your sales. There's changes we can make to double or triple your sales in just a couple of months. I've done it a bunch of times. We absolutely can double or triple your sales. However, my first question anytime somebody says, I want to scale, is I say, okay, if I were to double or triple your sales in 30 days, is your business production, fulfillment, your business model, your soul, everything cut out to run a business and withstand it with double or triple the capacity? If I were to triple your sales, can your business model handle it? Or are you going to be swamped, not have a life, be burnt out, have it be unsustainable, have your customers be upset, have the fulfillment times be really slow? Is that actually possible for you? Because if not, we're not trying to scale your sales yet. What we're trying to do is we are trying to really adapt your current business model. We got to do some of the stuff behind the scenes. We got to build the infrastructure before we actually scale. Then we can scale, but we have to make sure that you have the team and the infrastructure in order to do that. Next, how do I get brand awareness? My favorite question. How do I get brand awareness? And then I look at your profile and you have 50,000 followers or 20,000 followers or 0.5% conversion rate on your website. You don't need more brand awareness. My question that I want you to ask is brand awareness what is really going to solve my problem? Is brand awareness the true problem? How can I better sell to the eyes that I currently have? Because it's much easier to try to sell to the people you've already attracted rather than trying to grow into more people. And how can I become the no-brainer choice within my industry that my business grows naturally? We think about this a lot. Your branding is what allows your business to grow naturally. There are times in your business you need to have brand awareness, which is why blanket business support like this can be kind of hard, because there are times in your business, and I do have clients that our primary goal is visibility, brand awareness, and we have a full strategy on it. But that is because we have answered these questions. We know their conversion rate is high. We know that their marketing converts high. We know where their ROI is. We know they're moving levers. Like if we want to make sales, we know what to do. All we need is more people. You have proof of concept. All we need is people. That's a different situation. Here is brand awareness what is really going to solve my problems. Because for most of you, you're saying, well, yeah, if I had triple the people, I would triple my sales. But if your conversion rate is low, if you're not able to convert the eyes that you have, if you're not able to build a community with you have, is brand awareness really going to solve that overall problem? If you have 10,000 followers, I have clients that have 3,000 followers that are making $200,000 a year. I have clients that have 2,000 followers that are making $150,000 a year in their business. Understanding that it's not always a brand awareness thing. We might have to look at your marketing. We might not have to look at your sales. We might have to look at the sales process, because more eyes does not always mean more conversions. Same goes for virality. Next one. What should I do about this dupe of my product? Ooh, such a good one. I love this question. How can I become the no-brainer choice with authority in my industry that a dupe is only marketing me? How can you become the staple in your industry? Yes, we are in a world where everything is duped. And yes, there are patents and there's copyright and there's trademark and there's so many things that you can do out there to avoid getting duped. But there's only so much we can do until somebody in China knocks it off and starts trying to sell it before it's on Temu, or Urban Outfitters knocks it off, or Shein, or whatever that is. Not to say that I don't want you to take action on some of those, but it is going to happen. And by the time someone is duping you, you are already on to the next thing, baby. You're already on to that next thing. Instead of worrying about the dupe, we should worry about how can we brand ourselves as the OG, as the authority, and as the staple, the no-brainer, the premium option within your industry. Because it's okay to have saturation within your industry. Honestly, it's only going to help you. And those people are actually just marketing your product, which is then going to get more people to talk about your product, which is then going to get more people to search for it. And we want you to show up as the most premium brand within the search, which is why we don't want to live in this small business world. We want to live in this brand world and be the premium option. Because then, and premium doesn't need to be crazy expensive. I just mean you have the best branding that people feel like they really want to be attached to you over everybody else. So it's not to say to don't worry about dupes at all. We want to do our due diligence 100%, but we want you to be the number one in the world. We want you to be in the industry, the authority. We want people to think of you. Kind of like Kleenex. When we talk about tissues, Kleenex is a brand name, but because there's so many dupes of Kleenex, but Kleenex is still what everybody calls it. Same thing is chapstick. That is a brand name. Band-Aid. That is a brand name that has become the no-brainer choice with authority within the industry, that actually everything else is just accelerating the sales of that product because they're using the name as the actual product. That's what we want. Next one. How do I build a brand like this brand? Basically, I love this brand. How do I do this? My question is, how can I build a brand that is different than the other brands within my industry? And how can I build a brand that feels like the expression I want my business to have? It's okay to take inspiration from other brands, but they can't be within your same industry. They can't be selling the same product as you. Because if you're taking inspiration, and I've seen this, I have had people come to me and they say, Maddie, I love this brand. How do I look like this brand? And I say, honey, I can tell your website is like a direct replication of that brand. All you're doing is making a second version of that brand within your brand that sells the same products that you're selling, or at least a similar product or within the same industry. That's not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do, especially within your own industry, we can take inspiration and we can say, I like this, I like this, I like the vibes here, but they have to be outside of your industry. Why? Is because we don't want you to create the same brand image as another brand within your industry, because you're just diluting it at that point and you already have a direct competitor that is just going to make people confused within your industry. So what you need to do is, how can I build a brand that feels like the expression I want my business to have? Not how can I build a brand that emulates this other brand? We're looking for the feelings, we're looking for the moods, we're looking for the expression, and how can we maximize that? Next, why are my sales so slow? Where in my customer journey are people falling off? where in my data is it showing? This is where I always redirect to data. People say, hey, Maddie, my sales are kind of slow. I'm like, great. How many people have been to your website in the last 30 days? Is it up or down? Is your conversion rate up or down? How much content have we put out? And we're starting to look at your data. My clients roll their eyes, but they're like, hey, my content doesn't feel like it's performing. I'm like, great. What does the data say? What do we see here? Is your data actually working? Is it not? What's actually happening there? Yes, no, who knows? We're not looking at why your sales are so slow. We're looking at where in your customer journey are people falling off? Where is that sales bottleneck that we're always talking about? Because if we're just talking sales are slow, are they slow? This is the same as people telling me your content isn't working. And I'm like, great, well, your engagement is up 400% and your website clicks are up 300%. So that doesn't tell me that your content isn't working. That tells me that your website isn't converting, right? So we need to look deeper than that. We need to look at that data. Next, my reach is so down. How do I change that? Question I want you to ask instead, my reach is so down. How do I change that? I want you to reframe this to how has my lowered reach impacted my sales? I have clients right now that make $500,000 a year in product sales, selling $35 products. And they are saying, Maddie, my reach, I used to get 100,000 views on every single video. I used to have viral videos at least every month. I used to have all of this reach. And I say, okay, great. Well, what is your sales like? Has that reach actually damaged your overall sales? And they're like, well, no, my sales are up. Does reach really matter at that point? If your sales are up, you're having new customers coming in, we're still seeing growth. Reach is not the end all be all. It's not the only health of your business. Honestly, the only time I'm looking at reach is if you truly need brand visibility. If you truly need brand visibility as your major bottleneck of your business, then we're looking at reach. But other than that, we don't really need reach if it's not impacting your sales. So if your sales are still there, we need reach to some degree. But that isn't the only measure of health and success of your business to any regard. I have a lot of clients that do this. They say, my reach is down. How do I change it? And I'm like, no. We want to look at how has your reach impacted your sales? That is the reframe that we want to make there. A couple more. Can I afford to hire somebody else? Question I get asked a lot. Can I afford to hire a marketing person? Can I afford to hire somebody in production? Can I afford this? Can I afford that? My question, how would hiring this person allow me to make more money? So right now, let's say you are shipping and fulfilling all of your orders. If you were to hire somebody to fulfill your orders for you, how would that allow you to scale? What would that allow for you to be able to do in those couple of hours? So for me, if I were to outsource, who knows, responding to DMs, which I don't have anybody that does. If you DM me on Instagram, it's me because that's part of the sales process that I want. But let's say I were to respond to DMs. I bet I spend at least an hour a day in the DMs every day, going back and forth to some degree with either prospect, sale, leads, answering people's questions, things like that. So if I were to ask myself, instead of can I afford to hire somebody in my DMs? I want to ask, how would hiring somebody and freeing up that 1 hour allow me to grow my business? And what is the ROI of that? So again, if it's 1 hour, that is 5 hours a week. That is 20 hours a month that I am spending in my DMs. What would I have to spend to have somebody in there? And what would I do instead? What would I do with an extra 20 hours a week? Could I make more content? Could I, make more connections? Could I better service my clients? What are some of these ways that I could do? What am I doing to actually make more money in that time? So it's not just, can I afford it? You might not be able to afford it, but you being able to free up your fulfillment will allow for you to actually have the time to work on your business. That's what a lot of people say, Maddie, I don't have the capacity to pay somebody to make products. And I'm like, yeah, but you're spending 90% of your time making products, so you can never grow your business and you'll never get out of that cycle. So your question isn't, can I afford this? Is how would I outsource this to allow for me to actually grow the business? Next, how do you manage your time? I get this question all the time. Maddie, how do you manage your time? Question I want you to be asked is, how do you find balance with life, business, and everything else? What are your routines like? What are your habits like? Not just how do I manage my time? That is such an ambiguous question because everybody's brain works different. Everybody's calendar works a little different. Some people have kids. Some people don't. Some people have to drive their kids to school. Some people don't. There's all sorts of different pieces in there. So we don't want to just ask, how do I manage my time? It's how do you find balance with life, business, and everything else that goes with it? We're trying to look at, how do we look at a bigger picture? How do we continue to sustain ourselves and fulfill ourselves outside of business and in business? And then how do we create a schedule that really works for you? How did I find a schedule that worked for me in my brain? And I know right now I'm planning a wedding. Right now I'm trying to buy a house. Right now I have a lot of other things on my plate that I usually don't. And so I'm managing my time very differently now than I usually do. There's different phases of life that will require it. So you don't need to know how I manage my time. You need to know how to find a way to balance it all. And that works for your schedule and your brain. Last two, and they're both pretty good. How do I hit 50K months? Question I get a lot. How do I hit 20K, 10K, 100K, whatever? Question I want you to ask instead. What habits, routines, and systems do I need in order for my business to be able to sustain 50K months? Who do I need to hire? Who do I need to show up as? Who do I need to be? What routines do I need? What habits do you need to have? Because again, it's not always just like, how do I scale my sales? There's deeper rooted things that we're looking for there. We're looking at how we can change our overall perspective. Last one, what's the fastest way to scale? The question I want you to ask instead of the fastest way is, how can I build a business that grows sustainably month over month? I don't want to explode your business in 30 days. I can, with the proper action and the proper grit and the proper hard work and all of that, we can explode your business at a certain point in 30 days if we want to. And if you come to me and you say, Maddie, I want to 5x my sales in the next, 3 months, great. Let's do it. But first, I want you to see, do you have the foundations? Are you willing to do it? Are you willing to do these other things? And are you willing to basically be married to your business for then on? Because if you build a business based on grit, you are consistently going to need grit in order to keep it up, without making major foundational changes. So the question I want you to ask instead, how can I build a business that grows sustainably month over month? I want systems. I want a natural flow of new people coming in, whether you're showing up or not, or you have a viral video or not. I want a seamless sales system that converts people very naturally through all of your channels. I am not looking for fastest. I'm looking for most sustainable, because we're looking for month over month growth, not day over day growth. Because if you're doing day over day growth, you are going to either burn out, build something that's unsustainable, or end up in a world that you can't keep up. And this is the same thing that happens. I've had plenty of clients go viral without the proper infrastructure to actually handle the amount of sales that they had. Now, all of a sudden they have 2,500 orders to fulfill. They don't have the inventory. They need to order the inventory. It's weeks of time, and then they're trying to fulfill it, and they're trying to keep everybody happy. We don't actually want the fastest way. We want the most sustainable way, because sustainability has legacy to it, has longevity to it, has, something that's going to last 3 to 5 years. A very common mistake or problem is that we have a one-hit wonder in business. You have a one-hit wonder where you have something that goes viral, and then all of a sudden, that's the only thing that you have is that one viral reel, and then you're chasing virality. I would rather you build a legacy brand that grows month over month, as opposed to trying to go viral and have that one product be all that you're known for. And then, you can really easily crash and burn with that. This is a good way to just really change your overall perspective, because again, what I'm trying to do here is level up your mindset, level up your business. I'm trying to help you become a business owner that thinks like a successful business owner. We're not looking at, can I afford this? We're looking at, what's the ROI of it? We're not looking at, how do I scale the quickest? We're looking at, how do I scale the most sustainably for something that's actually going to last? I'm not looking at, all of these other little minutia of things, these dupes that are out there, or the algorithm hacks, or the trending audios, or the hashtags. We are looking at, how do we build a sustainable strategy that points you and a brand that is the authority that you are the no-brainer buy everywhere that you go. It's all about looking at how successful businesses operate, what their mindset beliefs are, what their mindset, thoughts are, how are they operating in their day-to-day, how are they leveling up, and really, how do they think that's actually different than you? When I started to go into bigger rooms, be surrounded by people that were more successful, it was interesting to me. I'm not looking at information from them. I'm not hoping that they revolutionize my business with this one strategy. I want to really think about, how are they thinking? How do they think in life? So even when I gave my TED Talk, we went out to dinner with all of the speakers. It was a speaker dinner, and I wasn't thinking this person is going to give me the piece of information that's going to change my life. I was thinking, I want to absorb how they think to be able to say, okay, how can I change the way that I think in order to match that? Same, I flew to New York City 2 summers ago to be in the room with people that were multimillionaires, that had really successful businesses, very ambitious, and I loved it. It was great. But again, I wasn't hoping any of my conversation was going to give me the piece of insight or the strategy, tangibly, even though I'm a strategy gal, big strategy gal, always strategy first, I wasn't trying to get that one piece of strategy information from them. I was trying to identify, how do they live? How do they think? What are they doing on their day to day? And how do they think that's different than me so I can up level and meet them where they are? That is what this episode is all about. And I hope that you got that from this. I hope that you were like, that is a good way to think about that. Yeah. Now what I want you to do is get out there and start implementing. Because again, one of these pieces, it's not about how many podcast episodes can you listen to. People say, oh, I heard that on your podcast. Yes. Have you implemented it? Have you put it into practice? Do you have the brand that is making you an authority? Do you have the content that has variety that people really, really want to watch? Do you have the website that is converting at a 4 to 5% conversion rate? Do you have all of these pieces implemented that I've been regurgitating back to you? Because that's really what matters here. It's not just about the information. It's helping you level up your mindset and then making sure that you're implementing the actual stuff that you are learning. I hope this was helpful for you. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. If you liked this episode, there's a lot more where that came from. Make sure that you follow along. Let me know if you like this style of episode. I could literally go on and on about this. Would love to hear from you in the comments below or over on Instagram. You can DM us there. Today is our final day of our holiday support where this is going out. We have holiday support happening right now. It's basically bonus holiday support, meaning in any of our services that you do join, you are getting some bonus support. We're getting some bonuses and promotions inside. Would love to give you those details. If you are looking for support now to make some of these strategic changes, to have somebody with you through the holidays, to have somebody to help you further change your perspective, but also to really be in the strategy weeds with you in a way that we just can't do over the podcast, make sure that you apply in the show notes below, or you can send me a DM on Instagram at thisismadisonpage. Just DM me support and we can talk about our holiday specials and what that really looks like. Would love to discuss with you. I love you. I'm rooting for you. I'm in your corner always. I will see you in the next episode. If you found today's episode helpful and are looking for more tangible ways to grow your business, make sure you are subscribed to the show. If you want to dive deeper into this topic more, click the link in the show notes and join our completely free podcast community where we dive into every single podcast topic as well as give some bonus support and free coaching calls. And finally, if you are interested in getting my eyes on your business to find your hidden opportunities to scale, apply to work with me one-on-one in the show notes or on our website. Remember, it's not enough to listen. Don't forget to implement too. I love ya. I'll see you in the next episode.